10th of January, Rabbi Furst, Pierke Avos, Embalming.
Right. Good morning again. As Lou mentions, Rabbi Shlomo Furst here. I'm here on Zoom. This is our first year. Pierke Avos. We're digressing a bit, learning about the embalmment of Yaakov Avinu, how in fact it was possible to do, why if in fact it was necessary, leading us to the question whether or not Yaakov Avinu actually was considered to be dead or not. The Gemara, Rav Nachman Omer, Yaakov Avinu lo meis. We saw the Zohar, that Yaakov Avinu in fact was there by the Yam Suf, witnessing the great wonders that Akash did for his children, Klal Yisrael, when we came to Mitzrayim. And now we're discussing the questions that are relevant to the fact what was the necessity of the embalming. In fact, he wasn't nifted. Why should we do that? So we were left off that it would be perhaps a lack of kavod, honor to Yaakov Avinu, if the normal custom, as was in Egypt at the time, that their nobility would be embalmed for the preservation of their bodies. It would be perhaps a disgrace to Yaakov Avinu if it wouldn't be done that way. Although, my personal opinion, I don't understand why. We would just say, look, we Jews do things differently. You do what you Egyptians do what you do, and we have a different way of treating and respecting our relatives that have passed on. But we'll see where we go with that. Let's see. I don't know.
All the brothers out of Egypt.
Right, the bones. Bones can live. Bones can last. That's not a problem. Bones are okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. It says Yosef was embalmed, but doesn't say about the brothers. No. Right. So let's see. We left off when paragraph. I believe we're going to start. Yeah, paragraph 19. Yeah. Okay. Who would like to begin? Volunteers?
Well, Cain.
Sure. Okay. So we'll start with
Masha Asu Lo Chanita. Therefore, this that they embalmed him. Lifanim Haisab She Yirah Leha Mitzrayim She Osin Lo Kavod Malchus. So it was out of respect to the Egyptians that they give him honor.
It's rather like this. It says, so therefore the fact that they made an embalmment for Yaakov Avinu, lifnim shahaya sa sheyira lemitzrim, she also lo covered, that in order that it should appear to the Egyptians that they're giving him covered malachim, that they would be giving Yaakov Avinu the honor of being nobility.
The Rotzim, the Kiyumo, and they wanted to I don't know what Kiyumo is.
I think that was to preserve him. I think that because again that was the covered malachim. I mean, you have to think a little bit about the Egyptian tradition of embalming their royalty, and that was done in order to give them honor, that their bodies would be preserved.
Abal, Ha'ames, Sheyakov lo, Hayinu Tzarich La Ulechain.
Right, and but the truth is that Yaakov didn't need this. Yaakov didn't need the necessity of having his body preserved through embalming.
Right. And therefore, Asu be'ofen. What's ofen?
They did it in a way, in a method. They used a method. Therefore, asu ba'ofen. They did it in a method, in a way. They did it in a way that would not hasasholem need to be taken out his internal organs. See the contrast between the Egyptian tradition and the Jewish and Torah law. That the Egyptian tradition, they were embalming their nobility in order that the bodies of their royalty could be preserved, and that would be considered to be something honorable to do for them. But in doing that, they'd have to take out their internal organs, the brains, the heart, the liver, the intestines, all the other internal organs, in order to preserve the body properly. But the Jewish law is completely the opposite. That the honor that we give to the nifter is that his body be buried complete, absolutely untouched, and in its perfect form as it was when he left this world, and that it should be ready therefore for Tchias and Macy. That's the greatest honor that you can do for a nifter. That's why there's such objection to even autopsies that unfortunately are many times done without any real necessity. And even if it's a necessity, you have to question the necessity of what excuse me, what the secular legal opinions may have in contrast to the Torah halakhic standpoint, whether it's halakhically permissible or not. And if it's not permissible, it shouldn't be done. It should obviously object to it strongly as possible, and not allow the autopsy to be done.
Well, they do have a virtual autopsy where you view the body and go into the body with a camera or something.
That also is a disgrace to the nifter should be buried without further ado in the most respectful fashion.
I'm just saying that they try to come up with some ways where they can do one and then the other.
Okay. In any event, that's not our issue right now.
No.
So Yaakov Avinu didn't need that, right? Yaakov, because his body would be preserved in any event. So it could be, we'll see now, that it should, as he's explaining now, it could be that we're trying to again understand what Yosef commanded. The pasuk says Yosef commanded that Yaakov be embalmed, which, as we said, that's difficult for many different reasons. One is that it was done in the normal traditional way. That would be a disgrace, a terrible desecration of Yaakov Avinu's body. He would never want that, never allow that. And the brothers would never allow that, even Yosef, to do such a thing like that. So it obviously wasn't done that way. And Rashi says that it was done with simonim, and as was explained by the I think it was the Zohar and the Chasam Sofer, it was done through the addition of oils with scented and spiced oils into the body to preserve the body without the necessity of taking any of the internal organs out. But the question was, Yaakov lo meis. Yaakov wasn't nifter at all. So first of all, why do you need it? And the answer to that is, as we're coming around now, it could be done that it was done in order to have it appear that Yaakov Avinu was being embalmed in the normal traditional Egyptian way, in order that it should be honor to him that the Egyptians should feel, and as they recognize Yaakov Avinu, they would have made him into an avodah zarah. They recognized Yaakov Avinu very highly and respected him very highly. And it would be a lack of honor to Yaakov Avinu if they wouldn't embalm him. So therefore, it could be, we'll have to see if this is where he's going. He's taking this. Yosef's command to have the body of Yaakov Avinu embalmed would be in order, as he's saying here, in a way it should be done, and that the internal organs will not be taken out. And however, it would still appear as if they're giving him the honor that was due to him as any other Egyptian nobility and royalty would receive. So, very good. Okay, right. So, now Ella, at the end of the second line in the paragraph 19. Good morning, Mayor.
What was this word hapanimis? Hapanimim.
Internal, right? Misrada Panim, right? The Misrada Panim is the Ministry of Interior.
Ah, okay, it's internal organs.
Right.
Ella, but Mash.
Right. So they didn't take they was embalmed in a way that wouldn't remove any of the internal organs, Hashem. Rather, what did they do? As this is something we mentioned before. Rather, they Mashku, he was Mashku is a
Anointed?
Anointed, but according to the Zohar, it actually entered into his body through the navel. So I think they applied ointments. They applied the ointments.
Okay. Shemen is the ointment.
Well, that's the oil. B'shemen hamashka, right? But with shemen, they anointed him through the usage of oil, which is used for anointing.
For anointing. Uvish Maim Kiparshe the His Yav I don't know. This is all abbreviations.
So rather mashku also b'shemen hamashka u'b'samim. He was anointed through the usage of oils, which are anointing oils and besamim and spices, right? And Kiperish Rashi, right? Like the Perish Rashi and the Targum Yonas and Beni Uziel and the Targum Uziel and Kamashi Kasaf Kasim Sefer Zal Sha'al Yedei the through.
Sha'al Yedei through T Vuro.
That's the navel, through the navel.
The navel ha keniso bo. What's ha keniso? They entered?
It entered right through that. The oils would be applied to his navel and it would enter through the navel.
So does that mean they punctured his navel? Or
not necessarily. I'm not sure. It might be able to be absorbed through the navel. I'm not sure.
Va'ulai may hate.
I think it's Mahai timer. Possible through this because of this reason. Mahai timer.
This reason. Nami tiva le'av div le'avadiv ha rofim. For this reason, it's possible for this reason also that they commanded the doctors below the
his servants, the doctors who were his servants. Meaning, if you look at the pasuk the pasuk goes out of its way to say that Yosef made a special command to the servants of his who were doctors. Meaning, it could be that you don't. I would imagine you don't need a doctor to do embalming. It's not really necessary for doctors or someone who gives life. So the fact that he gave the command to the doctors to do this, that was an indication of the fact that he was dealing with someone who was still alive.
Below acharim, and not to anybody else. Shelo nisgala hadavar, that they should not reveal the matter. Vayomaru lo mace, and they said and say that he didn't die. Ella shirotzim levaruch mi Mitzrayim. Rather, that they wanted to bless the Egyptians.
No, that he specifically Joseph gave the command specifically to his servants who were doctors, and not to anybody else. That he didn't want the matter to be revealed, and because if the matter would be revealed that Yaakov in fact was not truly dead, and they were not embalming him in the normal fashion, they would say Yomer Lomes. They would say that Yaakov didn't die. Ella Shirotzim Livroich Mitzrayim. He's rather trying to escape from Mitzrayim. He's trying to use this as a ruse to escape from Mitzrayim.
Plot thickens. Ukein ha gedit tone.
The Gemara in Gittin. It's similar. It's similar to the Gemara in Gittin. Daf Nun Avav Amid Aleph, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai.
Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai she nikat naf shosechem. What is nikat?
Right. Shenakat ben nafshoy b'choyle. That there was a situation where he was known to be sick.
V'hotzio kol shamat.
It was a situation. He was known to be chayli. He was known to be sick. Kol shemes, and there went out a rumor that he died.
A rumor that he died. V'hanicho, and they embalmed him. Etzlo, himself.
Vanicho etzno, vanicho. They placed next to him. They placed next to him the velas sarucha. They placed next to him a rotting carcass.
Rotting carcass. V'hotzio mechutz lechoma.
Lechoma, right.
And he went out from outside the city.
Right. He was taken out of the wall. Yerushalayim at that time was under siege, right, by the Roman general, and there was no way to leave the city except to bury the dead. And so therefore they made this ploy that Yochanan ben Zakkai would be known and assumed to be dead, and subterfuge of being buried, and that's how he left the siege.
How do we switch from Yaakov Avinu to Yochanan ben Zakkai?
Because he's explaining that what would have been he's explaining now Joseph's specific command to the servants of his who were doctors, that they should do the embalming of Yaakov Avinu and not anybody else, because if it would be known by anybody else that Yaakov Avinu was being embalmed in a non-traditional way, and they're not taking out the internal organs, so it would be assumed that Yaakov Avinu did not die, and then the word would get out that Yaakov Avinu was trying to flee Mitzrayim. And you have the similar situation, how this was accomplished by Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai at the time of the Korban Bayis Sheni.
I see. Velo hotzi ihu rak ha talmidim, and only his students went out.
Right. The only ones who took him out were his talmidim. The only ones who were allowed to be involved in taking Yochanan ben Zakkai were his talmidim, to keep it absolutely secret.
Velo achar shelo yir gishu dechai Khalil who that no one after that they did not reveal that he was alive.
Right. So the only ones who were taking him out were only his talmidim and nobody else. Shelo yagirshu dechai, that they shouldn't suspect that he was alive.
And what's Khalil?
That I believe, like he was still alive.
And what's this? Vahakan?
V'hachanami, here likewise.
Here likewise. Mehatam, from the reason.
Yeah, Mahai time, right? From this reason.
Nami also Tziva Yaakov. It was commanded that Yaakov Avinu, our father, Sherak Banav, that only his sons Yishuhu Velo Acherim, only his sons would accompany him. Yishuhu.
He would carry him. They
carry him. And nobody else, Levad, alone. Me hatam shechach shema yir gishu shehu kol vayomru achei shechai hu below mace. And nobody else should carry him. From Mehatam for the reason. What is shechash?
From the reason that there was concern. Shechash. She was concerned. Shema Girshu Shukal Vameshuchai Blomes, that they were concerned I mean, Yosef, this is certainly about Yosef. Yosef was concerned, and maybe Yaakovino himself, because ostensibly Yaakovino gave the command that only his sons could carry his coffin. So it was because he was concerned that um, maybe they would realize Shu Kal. Kal here means light. The could be Khalil also, but in the previous sentence, Khalil could also be maybe light also. Because why? Because there's a Metzias that Chai Noises Atzmo, a live being carries itself, meaning the fact that a person uh, is alive makes it a much lighter burden to carry than if it's simply what we call dead weight. Called dead weight. Dead weight is much different than what we call what you conscious live weight. So I didn't want to. So only the sons of Yaakov Avinu could be carrying the coffin of Yaakov Avinu, because they didn't want anybody to take part in carrying Yaakov Avinu, because they would feel that the weight is not appropriate to the carrying of a dead body. So therefore, they might understand from that Yaakov Avinu in fact was not dead.
ובזה יש להבין נמי ביאור Hazal. And with this, there is to understand also Biur is the request.
The clarification, the explanation of Chazal.
The clarification of Hazal, El Na Tik Vorni B'Mitzrayim Hevi Rashi. What is this El Na?
Please, Al Nor, please.
Please. Carry me out from Mitzrayim.
No,
No, don't bury me.
please, yeah, all right, right. Please do not bury me in Mitzrayim.
And what is this Hevi Rashi?
Rashi brings, I think from Bereshis Rabbah, from the Medrash in Bereshis Rabbah.
Rashi brings from Bereshis Rabbah, Shalo Yasuni Mitzrayim. I don't know what Ayin Aleph is.
Avodah Zorah.
Avodah Zorah.
Or Avodah Elilim. I think Avodah Elilim. Avodah Zorah, same thing.
Okay, so there should not be that Yaakov would become an Avodah Zorah. Ula Chura Lama Yaasuhu Avodah Zorah La'achar Moso Yoter Mi V'chayim Mi V'chayev. What is this word? Lekura?
L'chora.
It seems.
Right.
And it seems that this is the reason.
Well, l'chora. This is like a preface to a question. L'chora, we have to ask, Lama Yisuhu Avodah Zorah Achemos Yosem Chayev. Why should they make him an idol after he's dead more than when he was alive? I mean, they didn't make him an idol up till now. So why would we think they want to make him an idol after he's dead more than they did, which they never did while he was alive?
Aval Kevan she
I mean,
Yikavar.
it's sort of ridiculous to to worship a dead person. They can't even save themselves from death. How can you make them into a god?
Uh-huh. But since he died in Egypt, and they saw Sheharetz Eno Mikala.
Now, if he would be buried in Mitzrayim,
If he would be buried in Mitzrayim, and they would see that the land was not, what is this word, makla?
right? And they would see that the earth would not consume him.
Below Yirkav Kishar Meitim Asher Tiv'a Shel Eretz Mitzrayim Lichlos V'yach Lito She'eno Ben Adam. And what is Yirkav?
Okay, so if he would be buried in Egypt, and they would see that the land, the earth, would not consume him, and he would not rot like other cadavers, which the nature of the land of Egypt is that it does consume the bodies of the dead. Yachlitu, they would decide She'eno ben Adam. They would decide that Yahweh wasn't a real person. He was a deity of some sort.
She'eno ben Adam. He's not a person. V'al Cain Hare hu Elokim.
I think that's Elil, probably Elil. He's an Elil, some type of deity.
Vaya Shuhu Avodah Zorah, and they would make him Avodah Zorah.
Right. So that's the answer to the question. The question is, why would the answer, the one of the reasons that Rashi itself brings that why Yaakov Avinu didn't want to be buried in Mitzrayim is that they shouldn't make him into a Avodah Zorah. So the question is, why in the world would you think that they would want to make him into an Avodah Zorah after he's dead, when after all they never made him into a Avodah Zorah when he was alive? And it's absolutely ridiculous that you should make a dead person into a Avodah Zorah. That as I had a friend of mine, a close friend of mine, his father, Shalom, was once engaged by a missionary. So this missionary was going through his absolute ridiculous idiocies. Uh, so finally, his father wanted to get rid of this missionary. He said, "Listen, why should I pray to a dead Jew?" So the missionary went away after he heard that. It's absolutely ridiculous to pray to make a dead person a deity. It's ridiculous. He can't even save himself from death. So what's he going to save you from? And anyway, right? So that's the question. The question is, meaning, why was Yaakov Avinu concerned about them making him into an avodah zarah after he's dead? It doesn't make sense. You don't make a dead person into a avodah zarah. The person can't save himself from death. So obviously, they have no power over anything. They don't even have power over the worms. But he was concerned about this exact point, that if he would be buried in Mitzrayim, and the Mitzrayim would see that his body wasn't being consumed and it wasn't rotting, right? And he's obviously different than other people who died. They would decide that he's really not a person, and it would make him into a avodah zarah because you see that his body is not rotting. So therefore, he didn't want to be buried in Mitzrayim.
Uma shekasav I don't know what this abbreviation is.
That's the Zohar HaKodesh. We had it a few times before. Zohar HaKodesh.
The Zohar begin the whole ahu ara the kinyan
The Canaan, the Kol Hahu are the Canaan, the land of Canaan.
Okay, so and this that is written in the Zohar. What is begin?
I'm not. It's an expression which is used in Aramaic and mostly in the Zohar, maybe the Yerushalmi. You don't find it in the Bavli too much. Begin, I think it means like hine, it's a beginning of a sentence.
We see that all the land of Canaan and the land of Egypt, Maklu, Gufa, Umerkav, Lay, Lizman, Zair. I don't know.
The Zohar, as was mentioned, that it says the Kol Hahu are the Canaan are the Mitzrayim Machle Gufa Umakriv Le Lizman Zair. That the Zohar mentions that in the land of Canaan and the land of Egypt, that it Machla Gufa consumes the body Umakriv Le Lizman Katzar, and it causes it to rot in a very short time.
Is this Perush?
Perish, exactly. This perish. The explanation of this is
Lomar, as to say, to the chain nego malchei ha'amos la'asos ha'nota le malchi hem bishvil the kol eretz Canaan the eretz Mitzrayim makla u mimhar. I don't know. The explanation as to say that therefore we see the the kingdom of the kingdoms of the nations make chanota, I don't know.
Right, that since the Zohar is explaining, since the nature of the earth that is in Eretz Canaan and in Eretz Mitzrayim is very caustic, and it causes the body to rot and consumes the body in a very quick time. So therefore, it was the custom of all the nations that they would have their royalty embalmed. Bishvil the call Eretz Canaan, we call Eretz Mitzrayim Machle Memaher Lekorev, because in all of Eretz Canaan and Eretz Mitzrayim, it consumes the bodies and it causes the rotting to very quickly. So they perceive that as a lack of honor to their royalty, that they should rot so fast. Right? They wanted to preserve the bodies. So that's why they developed this concept and this tradition of embalmment.
Embalming the kings.
Yes, I imagine the poor people. I guess the poor people they probably didn't have money to do that, and that's just the way it was.
Bishvil l'chol Eretz Canaan v'Eretz Mitzrayim makla. In order or because that all of the land of Canaan and the land of Egypt cause rotting to the corpse. Meets Yahu Matziu Lasos Chanota, and we find that they embalmed Ulechain Asu Nami Liakov, and so they did the same thing to Yaakov, Yosef, and to Yosef. Aval Yaakov lo Tarich, Yahu didn't need it. L'tamam Shalo Yir Kav Likvod Hames, that he didn't require honoring of the mace. Kevan She Melech who, because he was a king. V'im lo yasu chanita, and if they didn't embalm him, yazil zulu b'kavodo, it would be a contradiction to his honor.
It would be a zilzal. It would be a disgrace to his honor.
A disgrace to his honor. So V'haishinan.
We're right. We're concerned. We're concerned.
And we're concerned. Zeh kechanitat sha'ar melachim, that this embalming of other kings, she'etzlam, who that they are shalo yir kavu, they're not buried.
But rot. They don't rot. They don't rot.
Well, they don't rot. Ugabe Vigabe Yaakov, and concerning Yaakov, lo tzarich shahare lo mace, it's not needed because he didn't die. The kol shechein, and therefore, who kol hatzadikim, he of all of the tzadikim, de'af basrei yishkon levatach, levetach,
Right.
that of all the tzaddikim, that even his flesh will be preserved.
Right. So since Yaakov wasn't mace, he didn't need this embalmment, and even more so, Yaakov Avinu, more than all the other tzaddikim, meaning even as is known, and as their eyewitness reports, that tzaddikim, their bodies don't rot, because the sori yishkon betach, that their flesh shall rest in security, meaning there's a preservation of the flesh of the bodies of the tzaddikim, that even though they may have passed on to the next world, since their bodies were used properly in this world, in Olam Hazeh, to serve the neshama properly, so as a reward for the body's proper usage and serving the neshama, the body is protected from rotting in the grave. Okay, very good. I think we reached our time. That means we're at paragraph 21 here now for tomorrow edition.
Okay, very
Rabbi.
good.
Okay. Thank you. Very good.
Lou.
Thank you for reading. And we'll be joining us all in a few moments soon. Mr. Bruce here.